Welcome to the Build Your Base podcast. This show is all about building your strongest Bangkok life. My name is Jack Thomas. I'm the host of the show, and we're joined today by Coach Jamal, who has been on the show before a few years ago, but we're going to get deeper into his area of speciality, and that is training for, let's call them the older generation, so over 50s, over 60s. He even has a few clients over 70s and over 80s, and actually, this is such an important message to get out. As you get older, it's not about how you look, it's about the quality of your life and how much you can enjoy your final years. So really important message, really excited to get it out. Thank you for joining the show, Jamal.
Pleasure.
You are a very accomplished strength coach. You have been for 12, 13 years now in the industry?
Something like
that. Is that right? But recently, in the last few years, you've really focused on training people who are getting towards the later stages of their life. How and why did you get into training this particular group of people?
I think it started a few years ago when there was a shift I have observed in some of the coaches I'm associated with in the US, that the barbell strength training kind of community shifted more and more in training the older people, training the seniors. And I have then adopted that to a certain degree and started to realize this is very valuable work. First of all, most people want to train younger people. So that's right there, a population which no one really wants to work with. Also, I believe the skill has to be great to productively work with older people. And what I learned then through my studies and through reading books, there's one book called The Barbell Prescription, which is very powerful on focusing on barbell-based strength training for the older people. I started to adopt that and I started to realize this is great because the impact is much bigger, right? If you have a 30-year-old guy who wants to be stronger, that's all fine. But if you have a 60-year-old guy who suddenly becomes very strong and his entire life changes because of that. And also I realized when we get older, we get weaker, things go downhill, and you can do something against it. That's basically how it then came to me, and I'm something I want to work more and more with from now onwards.
Do you think the fitness industry overall, if you look at the last few decades, has let down this particular group of people? Because I don't think we've really spoken to them as an industry particularly well.
It's hard for me to tell. I believe maybe in the mainstream fitness, yes. But I do recall, I think, for my first personal trainer certification, there is some kind of like special population chapters which they talk about seniors. But the type of training was terrible, just basically very light stuff. And this clearly shifted. No, older people don't need to train light. They just need to train what's appropriate for their level, but it can be strenuous work. And it probably just looks less impressive right now. These days, you have a lot of flashy, fun workouts. It just looks maybe better if you have 30-year-old good-looking people training shirtless and good-looking girls. There's many old people and they need our help more than the young people do.
Can we dig into just why it's so important as you get older?
I think there's two things. First of all, just the normal health component. I mean, everything goes downhill, right? As we age, from hormonal level to strength, muscle mass, bone mineral density, and everything which is correlated with that. That's one thing you can stress to people and say, hey, we must fight against that. And the other component is just life in general. I mean, if you're stronger, you can lift up your grandchild, you can lift up your luggage, you can walk up the stairs. Life is just much more fun.
Yeah.
And pain, right? A lot of older people are in constant pain. I mean, I can't promise that the pain goes away, but if you're very strong and you have a bit of pain, or you're weak and have a bit of pain, it's a different life, different quality of life.
Now that I've got a child who's 1.5 and I'm 42, 43, when I pick him up, it's just so fun and being able to throw him up in the air. And I really hope that, let's say in 20 years, maybe 30 years, hopefully not 40 like me, but at some point he has a kid. I really hope that I can pick up his kid and throw them up in the air, right? It's one of life's joys.
And you can basically work already on that now, right? Right? Just you don't need to be extremely strong. That's not a crime. Just reasonably strong and maintain that basically forever. And I think as a dad, you're a good role model for the little kid too. Like I train dads, some dads also a bit older who has little kids, and they're constantly, just happened this morning, they're around us when we lift. And I think that's a very positive effect too, that the kids see, hey, my dad is really strong and I can do it too. Take the PVC pipe and copy what dad is doing. It's fun.
Yeah. I think if you look at it from independence perspective as well, it must have been 5 or 6 years ago, I heard someone say, just one sentence, can't even remember where it was, but someone said, maybe on a podcast, strength and muscle is what keeps people out of old people's homes. It gives them the independence to actually enjoy life.
Yeah, I think it has also something to do that when bones become more brittle, right? When you break stuff, there's a certain age out there where people say when you break your hips at that age, statistically, you might have only a year left. And I believe one of the reasons is the social component goes down. Suddenly you are at home, you can't go out anymore, you can't meet people anymore, and your reason to live is probably going downhill from that point onwards.
Even being able to just go for a walk in the park on your own.
I mean, yesterday I went to Chiangwatana, which most of the listeners probably are familiar with, and I saw so many old people so deconditioned and weak. It was a reminder that, you need to maintain a certain amount of strength, and you will be independent, assume nothing bad happens, and then can just enjoy life more.
I think, going back to a previous question, I do think the fitness industry for the last few decades has let down this population in terms of messages it gets out. But I actually think the last 5 years has been much, much better. And even in Thailand, we're seeing a bigger shift towards the conversation. And I think attitudes are changing. People want to have great years in their 60s, 70s, 80s and do all of these things. And they really realize that strength and having muscle is a huge part of that. So we're heading in the right direction. We're making progress. But there are still some people that have concerns. And I think one of them is like, what if I get injured? Or even if a son is thinking about getting personal training or strength training for his father or mother, he's worried, what if they get hurt? How would you address those concerns?
I mean, everybody will get hurt doing stuff in life. This is just part of living, right? You play soccer or you just step over something at home, or I know a guy who tweaked his back in the shower. I mean, this is part of life to get hurt. I wouldn't overthink that too much. And I would think the other way around, because if you start to engage in strength training, your resilience will go up much more. So the chance you get hurt will be much lower while doing other activities. And if you get hurt, you'll be able to deal with it better because you learn in the gym on what to do. If something doesn't feel great, we just work around, right? If you can't do a certain movement, we pick the variation you can do safely. Especially when people are a bit older, you have to start extremely conservative and just build slowly. And over time, this is a lot sometimes, right?
I've even heard some young people saying that, there's a risk of injury. And I think it's just an interesting way to look at it, because if you don't do anything at all, there's certainly the risk that you get diabetes and low levels of muscle mass and poorer quality of life. And you actually get injured because you don't have the muscle mass anyway. So like you said, you go to pick something off the floor and you get injured. So anything you do, whether it's exercise or not exercise, there's a risk involved.
I mean, you can probably go to a hospital and ask a surgeon or back specialist and ask him how many of your people coming here are hurt from the gym. I would assume the percentage is super low to
compared
none.
to people that do absolutely nothing, right?
It's everybody who does absolutely nothing has major problems all the time. So I don't think it should not be a concern. And if it is a concern, think about, we have to start very conservative and slow anyway. The idea is that the person enjoys the process and gets stronger every single day, just a little bit.
And I've seen how you've worked with people who haven't really done anything for years or even decades. And I think they look quite almost like relieved, or at least very happy that you're starting them at a very low level, making sure they can do it, making sure they're comfortable, and they walk out the door thinking, wow, I can actually do it. And that's the foundation, right? That's the first step in a 10,000 step journey. And then it's really cool to see a few months later, you share videos, or I see them in the gym and they're doing so much more. What if someone is, say, let's say their father, or they're listening themselves and they're 60 or 70 and they've really never really done anything before? Because there are people that have maybe never done a strength training program. Is it too late to start?
It's absolutely perfect to start at that time, because I'll teach them what to do. Like I mentioned before, we just figure out what they can do and then build slowly on that. You don't need to have done anything in your life. It's fine. We'll kind of meet you where you're at and then build on that. And the beauty of strength training is you get better right away. Like many times on the first session, we might start with the PVC pipe, which is no weight at all, or only body weight. And usually by the end of the same session, we'll have already a little bit of weight in the hand of the person. They can feel the progress already from 0 to 1. And it's a great accomplishment, right? It makes most people extremely happy when they can see, hey, I can actually do stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's good for motivation as well. Those first few weeks, those first few months.
It's great for their body. It's great for their mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great for everything.
I've seen that as well. And, the clients that you've worked with, the older clients, when I've had a conversation with them, they don't always just talk about, the strength they have. They do usually mention that they're proud that they've lifted their body weight or something, but they're actually like, they feel so proud of themselves that they've had these accomplishments and they're moving forwards and they feel great about that. And it's really cool to see the sort of life and energy that comes from that kind of progress. What about someone who's not just never done it before, but actually also experiencing pain? I mean, you have alluded to it a little bit, but I know that's going to be a really big sticking point for people. So what if they're like, I've never really trained before, plus my lower back, I really have issues just doing everyday stuff. How would you speak to that person?
Yeah, I mean, I do train people, particularly one person with extreme lower back history, 3 major surgeries. He started in his 60s, and apart from being even more careful than normal, the good thing is from that point onwards, it can only get better. Like, it cannot get any worse. There's so much pain and issues already. So if we work around that, one important thing I will do from the start, I would probably go more into stuff I know, hey, this is going to work for sure. Like, work around it a bit. Maybe we would almost waste a bit of time in the beginning to be super conservative and then slowly build on that. And again, I mean, there's people who have pain and they will have it for the rest of their life. Like that gentleman I'm talking about. But it's a different life, and suddenly you have the pain and you're really strong, or you have the pain and you're not. Life is then much more enjoyable.
Can you talk us through some of those successes? Maybe name them if you think they're okay with that, or
I
just
think
talk
they're
about their
okay.
cases.
I mean, the person I just talked about, his name is Azim. We started with the PVC pipe. I was scared that he's going to pass out any moment. And we're deadlifting, and he has 3 major back surgeries, right? And we're deadlifting now over 100 kilos.
Wow.
Every time we do that, it's unthinkable. He tells it every single time that he can do that. Another famous case.
And he's been training with you for years now.
Yeah, it's been 3 years, I think, we looked at.
Yeah.
Another famous case, which we put online often, is Gary. For him, he had major, major health issues, from cancer to multiple strokes. And there, I think the greatest achievement is not the weight lifted. I mean, we always say, the lifting his body weight, deadlifting his body weight was the goal. But actually, that's just kind of the journey. The goal is that he can live much better.
Sure.
By walking around without a stick, for example. What can happen in the older population is, on the other end, in the performance world, there will be a guy I trained called Jake. He started 60 plus. We pretty much started a little bit over 0, and he pushing some serious numbers now. This week we squatted 114 kilos, 3 sets, 5 reps. We deadlifting in the 140s. So for some people, if they want to, they can go into the performance world and we can do some serious work. Most people don't want that, but if they can and want to, and that's also extremely impressive, because the man is over 60, started at age of 59, he was at a complete different point than he is now. He's basically gets younger. Like, I make that joke very often and just said, hey, think you're getting younger now? That's rare. Most people age so fast, right?
And his hormonal profile has improved significantly, right? He said his testosterone is up. And
everything. He just had another checkup. Everything is perfect. This usually happens to people, even if we don't focus on that. I'm not focusing. This is also a little bit outside my scope, right? A medical checkup, but I can almost guarantee that all these markers are just improving by the fact that you are getting stronger, you're building a bit of muscle, you're moving your body. And if we just focus on these numbers to get stronger as a simple goal to have, everything else gets better, right? From bone mineral density to your tendons get more stable, everything.
I mean, I've spoken to Azim, to Gary, to Jake. They're super happy with the training. All quite different people, sort of different ages, different backstories completely. And it's not just the exercise and the muscle and the performance. You've mentioned it already, but it is definitely that, wow, I'm achieving something. My body can do more. There's definitely huge psychological benefits that come with it as well, right?
Big time. Like, we all do that. Everybody has their own struggles. And I mean, working out is something which helps a bit to make things feel better. And I believe that is a great effect on people, right? The idea that, hey, it's not over, I'm not old and miserable, I can actually do stuff and I can go out and enjoy myself because of the work I put in the gym. That's a great benefit as well, yeah.
For sure, and you can really see that with those 3 examples. Have you ever had someone in front of you and you're like, oh, I just can't really help them, this isn't really right for them? Is that such a thing?
No, I mean, there were cases which I was like, oh, wow, we need to be super slow here.
Gary,
but I think,
for example,
I think I learned it well from where I get all the inspiration from, right? From some of the Americans who do this for a long time, and they're very smart and they really put it down to the point. Like, what are you gonna do if this doesn't work? Yeah, of course, he's not gonna squat with a barbell on day one, but the philosophy is not gonna change. He's still gonna sit on a chair and stand up. We just have to do it that simple. And the beautiful thing is it works every single time. It has to work because suddenly you move, right? You stress your muscles just in the right amount. And I think it had to be my confidence. It had to be on a level which I know I can do it. A mixture of learning and looking what the other people do and then just do it.
I think your depth of knowledge and also your confidence really helps. Like, I know some people have been put in front of you who are like, yeah, really unsure and really need some convincing, but you know what you do works, you know why it's so important. And I think that's quite contagious. And they're like, wow, you know your shit. And yeah, you have confidence that this works. And I think that kind of helps to inspire them. I think with Jake, that was certainly the case.
Yeah, and I bring
persuading.
I bring in other experts. I mean, they're not here, but I refer to their work and said, look, if you're going to read this stuff, I know like people are really curious and like an intellectual challenge and stuff. They're going to read these things, right? And then they come back, and usually that helps a lot too. It's not just me telling these things. There's other people with more experience sometimes, and even from the medical world to a certain degree sometimes too. And that helps then too. It's like, hey, it's not opinions anymore. These things need to be done.
Well, the conversations I've had with you and the things that you've shared and other coaches as well have really worked on me. Like, it's definitely shifted why I train. Like, I'm only 43, right? And I can get about daily life, no problem. But I look at my uncle, I look at, some of the clients that we've had that you've worked with, and I want that to be me at 60, 70, 80. So I'm definitely sold on it for sure in a way that I wasn't really before as much. Finally, I want to finish up. If someone really wants to help their parents, maybe even their grandparents, start strength training, improve their lives, can you give any tips for that person who wants to help the older generation?
I mean, if they are in Bangkok, you just have to send them to me. It's that simple. But it's not that easy most of the time.
And maybe it needs convincing to even send to you.
Yeah, right? It is sometimes hard because all people are also stubborn. That's something I had to learn. And they maybe don't want to do it. I think what can help is to share great success stories. Like with the videos we posted online, from Jake to Asim to Gary, you see all these individuals from different backgrounds and different problems, which are most likely more severe than what most people have. But you can see that helps. It might help also if you bring them and say, hey, look, here's a gift. There's 4 sessions. We have a 4 sessions trial package. And I think 4 sessions are brilliant for that because you feel it after the first one already. So I do use this often. I train sometimes people who are only in town for a short amount of time, and still we do these 4 sessions, and they can experiencing the getting stronger part is the most important, right? Once they did 1 session, almost always they really enjoy it. It's just the fact that they can do these things, right? You're kind of back to life again.
I think, I can only second that really from what I've seen. I think people are worried that they go to a gym, they have a coach, and it's going to be some drill sergeant who's going to give them quote unquote a good workout and put them through their paces. And when I've seen you work with clients like that, it's just make sure they feel good when they step out the door, and you're great at that. And I think,
I do understand their fear a bit, because most people wouldn't probably want to work with really extremely deconditioned older people. And if so, they might not want to know what to do, because not just the drill sergeant, I also think that, you just stretch a bit, workouts are basically a waste of time. It has to be stressful enough that they actually gain something out of that, but that stress might have to be on such a low dose. That's where then the difficulty from the coach comes in, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, this has been a really important message. I really appreciate you getting it out. And if you want to see more of the success stories from Coach Jamal, just check out our Instagram, and you can see interviews with Gary, Jake, and some of the other clients as well. Look, if you're thinking about persuading your parents to do this, just get them to take that first little step. Once you convince them, they've worked with Jamal a little bit, they're really going to see the benefits and really have a much better quality of life, more independence, and ultimately a longer, happier, healthy life. Thank you, Jamal, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the Build Your Base podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.